because I'm still a newbie at this. And yeah, it looks like it's up. Hold on. Let me make sure. And let me make sure that I can hear it. Yeah, good. Sorry about that.
All good. I get it. I streamed for a little while. So
Yeah. I don't know.
it's easy.
I had a lot of momentum earlier, and it sort of tapered off a little bit, and it's a little challenging. Like I was hitting 80 subscribers a month for like 5 months in a row, and now I'm at a third of that.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I never had a single one, so I wouldn't
Really?
know. Oh yeah, no, nobody. Like I stream niche stuff, so.
What were you streaming on? YouTube or Twitch or
On
something?
Twitch.
Ah.
Yeah.
I
stream on
think Twitch is hard to break into. I had a friend
It is.
who did
I
the same
would-
thing.
I would not stream on Twitch at this point anyway, so
Yeah.
just due to various things.
So
Like I streamed IL2 Sturmovik tanks exclusively.
yeah,
So
I've never really touched that. So you said you have EU4, but you've never played it?
never played EU4.
So I am playing as Serbia. I don't know if you saw the earlier videos in this one, but it's continuing on that Ironman. And basically, I conquered Northwest in the Balkans, decided to become Italy, and what I'm looking for... Ooh, how come... Oh, not logged into Steam. Oh, goodness gracious. I don't want to log into that live on stream. But basically, I get an achievement if I can retake the Balkans.
Oh, fun. That's gonna be some work.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be that bad, actually. I have done it before. It was just in a multiplayer game, so it doesn't count for the achievement.
I mean, how fragmented are the Balkans in EU4? Are they constantly killing each other? Like.
So at the start, there's Serbia, Bosnia, Herzegovina, Ragusa, and that's Albania.
Right.
And all of that is gone. So I became everything but Albania, which was eaten by the Ottomans.
Yeah. So now you gotta fight the Ottomans, which is a whole other problem.
Right, and basically my plan is consolidate northern Italy, go for Venice and Genoa for the lucrative trade nodes and income, and just build up an army, right? Like, right now my army is actually pretty decent, 32,000 men. It's more than enough to win anything in northern Italy, just not against the 86,000 Ottomans, right? Like it,
Yeah.
but we'll get there. It shouldn't be too bad. This is a rinky-dink war, meant to stave off a coalition.
Let's see. Is it the battle of the first, second, third, or fourth coalition?
Not the Napoleonics, but
Not the Napoleonics yet. What time? What time period
Yeah.
does EU4 end?
it starts in 1444.
Oh, dang. So, late medieval into.
Yeah, so you get the Renaissance, you get, the beginnings of colonialism, things like that, and Holy Roman Empire. This looks weird because Austria got the Burgundian inheritance.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, so France got kind of screwed over. But, it has its quirks. It's like, the goal of it is to be historic, but without railroading, which is always a bit of a fine balance.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. I think they did a better job of it here than they did in Hoi 4. And
Hoi 4 is definitely not meant to not be railroaded. It's
and I get that because it's a condensed time frame, right?
very condensed. Yeah, the scale is smaller, everything's way faster.
But understanding that doesn't necessarily mean that I appreciate it.
Exactly, yeah, and I get that. Like, the favorite thing to do at CK3 is build up a dynasty from the earliest start date and see how far I can get.
Yeah. So if you don't have that,
Right,
I think the issue with CK3 is like it's just super easy.
Oh, it's super easy once you know what you're doing, but
I guess that's
It's
true
so
of most
fun.
Paradox games, though.
yeah. It's still really fun. I know pretty well what I'm doing, and they keep changing it with each major update.
Yeah.
So like new stuff keeps happening. There's new like army buffs that are super important to keep getting and whatnot. So
Yeah, and I'm out of touch for those for sure. Let me just
the new tournament and grand wedding system are super awesome.
So, okay, just to explain myself here for you a little bit. coalitions happen when you build up too much aggressive expansion, which is a modifier that's built up when you take provinces.
Right.
And if you have more than more than three nations with -50 or more aggressive expansion against you, they can form a coalition, but only if they don't have a truce.
Right.
So this particular war I took against Lucca and their allies, which includes Ferrara and Milan, who are also some of the nations with the most aggressive expansion against me.
Right. Right.
So that I truce lock them, basically. And I'll
Right.
attack them as soon as the truce is done. Yeah. So it's just a...
Yeah.
There are similar things in Hoi 4 with managing world tension.
Yeah. It's a lot of that kind of gets translated with CK3 just purely onto a religion-based thing.
Yeah, but...
Typically, like, in order to be aggressive, you're mostly targeting countries of other faith.
Right,
because it's easier to accrue faith than it is fame. So it's just like the easiest, quickest way to keep.
That used to depend on government type. Like, you could get fame decently well if you knew how to do it as a standard.
Oh, you can still do it, but if you know how to get piety, it's way easier and
Really?
has way more benefits.
Huh.
Yeah, it's pretty insane.
So this encourages things like holy wars and great holy wars and things like
Well,
that.
the other benefit of like holy wars is, say like if you have like de jure ruling on a, if you have de jure rulership over a specific section of Europe, right? You own the duchy, but you don't own all the counties.
Sure.
At the beginning of the game, you can only go county by county, and then you have 10-year truces in between each of those wars. If you do it through a holy war,
You get whole chunks, just like in CK2.
as long as you are pious enough, you can go straight for kingdoms, right?
Yeah. I played way
whereas
too much pagan in CK3.
Exactly. If you want, like, yeah, if you want de jure, if you want to go for a de jure kingdom level war, you have to research it.
Yeah, so this sort of works more like the county by county thing, except you fabricate claims. And so I can fabricate any number of claims depending on how large of a spy network I build up in the opposing nation. It's
Right.
just that when I'm actually in the war taking provinces, I get penalties if I take additional counties. It doesn't mean I can't take them.
Right. Yeah.
It just means that it's often a bad idea.
So you can forge stuff in this as well.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah, I remember that.
Currently, I did a big failure in trying to. Cause I keep starting in Spain during the mid of the Christian Muslim wars,
The Reconquista?
the Reconquista, and turns out in order to end it, currently I'd have to convert all of my de jure kingdom to my culture, which is a reformed culture.
Oh, so it's tiny.
Like, yeah, so I have to get so much of it, or I have to lose half of what I own, because I already own all of Spain.
Are there still penalties to having large cultures? I kind of thought that was a little dumb.
No, not to large cultures. You have penalties for having really large kingdoms.
Well, it
without,
used to
like,
be
expanding, but-
it used to be that if you had a small culture, you could push that to high dev, which would therefore give you high average dev in your culture, which would then push innovations through really quickly.
Yeah. You're able to, and then there's ways to make it so that it decays slower, but they have nerfed how quickly you can build up development.
Yeah, that was probably a good change.
Yes. Yeah, so it's harder to just bum rush your way through everything.
Yeah, because that was the way to play the game.
Yeah, because you would unlock, bombards way before anyone had walls and stuff, yeah.
This is not the best truce timing. My truce with Venice is going to be up well before the truce with Ferrara, which risks them going into coalition after the peace, but I want Ferrara first. This is frustrating. Sorry, EU4 nerd speak.
No, you're fine, I get it. It's not that different.
Yeah.
To stuff like this where you're going through. Big thing, I'm trying, because there's an achievement for ending the struggle. But I
Right.
also I want to get the one where I make it, all of Christianity, which I get the conquistador. I can make Hispania.
Hmm. That's some cool stuff.
I can't make an empire unless it's Hispania, because I'm involved in the
So
Reconquista.
they got rid of the option for like make your own.
You can do that if you're not in Spain.
Goodness gracious.
But because you're in Spain, because you're involved in the struggle, you must. Yes, like I have
Oh, love this event.
4 of 16 counties in my capital kingdom must be Neo-Galician and Catholic.
I
But
love this
I need
event.
all 16, and I only have 4.
Goodness gracious.
I've got 200 more years to get that done, basically, before the game auto ends.
Yeah, fair enough. That is a little stressful. So one of the things that I like about EU4 that is maybe a little controversial here is you get monarch points, and when you have monarch points, you can do things more instantaneously than you can in CK3. So for example, if I want to increase the dev on a province, I just pay my monarch points for it, and it's there right now. It does take up time to build those monarch points. Like I get 10 Diplo a month, 11 admin a month, and 10 mil a month. And that's based on my ruler and my advisors.
Right.
But it's very like it's very quick in terms of the effect that you see, which may be a little ahistorical, but I don't know. I think it's fine.
But yeah, another thing they've changed is how easy you get money in this now.
Was it easier? Is it easier or harder?
Considering I currently have 6,000.
Yeah,
it's
I
way
don't know.
easier to make money now.
See, I have no reference for that because I thought it was easy before.
It's way easier now. It was still easy, but like it's immensely easy now. Like it's the second you reach becoming like a king, you're gonna never run out of money, and you're constantly gonna be upgrading.
Yeah.
You don't have to manage money anymore.
You had to make decisions at least with it, is what I remember.
Now you don't. You just spend it on whatever the fuck you want. You have that much.
It's a little disappointing, to be honest.
To be fair, I had to work hard to get it by taking over all of Spain.
Yeah, possibly the most fun game I ever played in that was I started as a count in Brittany.
Oh yeah.
That's a lot of fun.
I always start as a count, typically, unless I'm going for a specific achievement that isn't that.
I played a multiplayer with some people once, and they were a little newer at it. So they had me start as a king, and they started as counts, and then I figured out that one of them was marrying off all of my extended family into dead ends matrilineal shit, and I was so mad.
Smart play.
Yeah, I murdered him.
Yeah, that's what you do. Probably one of the most fun I've had is where we all played vassals underneath the King of France. And it was just
AI King?
Yeah, AI King France. And
Okay.
it was just who could become King of France and keep King of France.
That sounds pretty nice.
Yeah, it's pretty fun, and it's easily achievable to keep perpetual war going, basically. So you're always scheming against one another. Of course, we always fuck each other's wives, which is part of CK3.
Yeah, I mean that is sort of
you bang people's wives. It's what you do.
and only sometimes your own, but
yeah, it's mostly other people's. Yeah.
My wife actually got grumpy at me one time when I was hanging out with the guys, and I was talking about it, and I was like, shit, my wife's pregnant again. And she was like, no, I'm not.
Wasn't talking about you.
Yeah, well, that didn't help either, now did it?
No kidding, right?
Yeah. Bit of a gameplay lull. I don't know. Serbia is hard. You get locked underneath Hungary, who is often personal union with Austria, so like this is my ally right now. And then like how do I go about that? Because south is bad, north is bad. It's why I go Italy. It's like what other like. Let's pause. If you were me right now and you had this, where else do you go than crossing the Adriatic?
Yeah, you don't have really an option. Just Hungary's too big.
Right.
Ottoman is too big.
Yeah. So where do you build your power base, or do you just wait to die? And
yeah, you have to cross.
Right. So
it's very similar to playing a non-Catholic in CK3, because when you play a non-Catholic, everyone's your enemy.
yeah, that's fair. That's
When you
fair.
play a Catholic, you have a certain level of safety. Because if you get Holy Ward, the King of France might randomly join to protect your county.
Right, which at least gives you a bit of
Gives you something, some protection. But when you're pagan,
have they made it
someone Holy Wars you.
have they made it so that the AI logic for Crusades is better now, or is it still shit?
No, it's always Jerusalem.
Yeah, okay. And
To be
they
fair,
always like
you can always redirect it away from Jerusalem.
yeah, but that's
actually
player
managed to take
intervention.
I actually managed to take Jerusalem, so
I usually play as non-Catholic in CK3. Like I play as Orthodox, I play as Slavic faiths, I've played as Muslim,
Those more fun.
Scandinavian. Yeah, yeah, more interesting mechanics, I think. And I played as Jewish because I'm Jewish. I have to play as Jewish every once in a while.
Right. Yeah.
But I always just would watch the Catholics launch the stupidest crusades ever, and then attack
they did.
piecemeal into a single gigantic Muslim doomstack.
Yeah.
Uh,
They tend to go badly unless you are like an emperor level, because then they'll start following your army around.
Yeah, because you have enough force concentration to make them think, oh, this is a good idea.
Yeah, exactly. And
Oh, they're
at that
allied with
point, you
fucking
have-
France.
Damn Frenchies.
That's not a fight that I'm ready for.
It's
France
just the
is...
French.
Well, it's just the French, except it's just 64,000 French. And yeah, the Austrians have 54,000, but the French troops are better. Generally.
Yeah, I'm rocking 40,000 troops. They keep losing them right now because the age of try to usurp the new king is happening.
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
gonna be killing a lot of vassals soon.
It's a call.
Hey, look, if they want to take my shit, they're free to try. If they lose, and I capture you, say goodbye to all of your things. I don't care if it gives me tyranny or what, you're losing it.
Alright. I
That's
think...
part of the deal.
I think here's the answer. I think I go after Siena, which will call in Venice, which will then allow me to break the Venetian alliance with France. And that'll unfortunately give a peace, but it's a short peace, it'll be fine.
I'm gonna hire 4,000 mercenaries.
4,000 what?
6,000 mercenaries now. 8,000.
That's a lot
Just
for
to
that
help out.
game.
It is. Well, they also cost me 6,000 gold, so... Because the bigger you are as a country, the more expensive mercenaries start getting.
Right, because they're larger as well.
Because you're a king as well, so it's like, we can take you for all your-
It's the same thing here. The mercenaries are based off of your total development. So the larger your development, the larger your mercenaries, the more expensive your mercenaries.
I just wish my opponents were non-Catholics, because then I could call in my holy order, but they are Catholic.
Hmm. I kind of like that it respects that at least. Like,
Yeah.
you can't hire Catholic crusaders to go crusade against Catholics. They'll just kind of look at you like,
Well, Grand Holy Wars were the exception.
Huh.
Grand Holy Wars, they just joined the side of the Pope.
Ottomans are fighting Circassia.
Like,
No
small
guy.
holy wars, yeah, like small, if it's a holy war against, a non... yeah.
I'm really frustrated by this patch a little bit. They broke Muscovy. Basically, I've never seen Russia form. And
Good, though.
I mean, current geopolitics aside, in terms of game balance, it's important for Russia to form because Russia and the Commonwealth define outside threats to the HRE,
That's very true.
along with the Ottomans. And what happens basically every game is that the Ottomans just kill Muscovy, and then you get an absurdly strong Commonwealth, which makes it hard to play as a small prince in the Empire without playing expansionist. So I think it's
Fair enough.
I think it's just unfortunate. It's like I firmly believe it's nice whenever they add something in that makes it more fun for the players and makes it more interesting for the players because we're playing a game which
The
should be
point
fun. It's
of
kind of
the
like yeah,
game,
it's
yeah.
like it's the point. On the other hand, if they add in stuff like that and they make it so that intentionally or otherwise the AI can't manage it sufficiently and they just die, it breaks the game a little bit. So,
Right.
and that's where we currently are. Is just the AI cannot handle. At the beginning of the game, Muscovy pays a yearly tithe to the Golden Horde, and it looks
Right.
like they've actually dealt with that. but it puts them so far behind now, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So, what the hell is this Scotland?
It's superior. That's what it is. Long live Scotland. I don't know what you're on about.
Well, the interesting thing, I think England still has competitive amounts of development with them. So we should see relatively similar armies. Scotland's stronger. Not by a ton.
Do what you should have done.
I've never seen Scotland win that fight before. I think...
Very sad. Scotland should always win.
Well,
Long live Scotland.
what usually happens is Scotland allies France. You get the French
same
declaration.
The same alliance they did in real life, but this time it works.
Right, except usually it doesn't, so...
Yeah, of course not, no.
Yeah.
Like every alliance in CK3. What do you mean I have to help you with your war? No. Anyway, can you help me kill this one count?
That's how I am in this game, honestly.
What it is, man.
Allies are best used, not helped. Which is cold and heartless, but, like...
What they're for.
Yeah, so...
I don't marry for love. I marry whoever gives me the most soldiers. Sometimes you'll marry for, like, congenital traits, especially if, like, you're so powerful you don't need allies, which you can get to.
Yeah. I think we should be starting up a couple of wars here pretty soon, which is nice. Can take for
like,
our,
I've gotten a few points where I've controlled, like, 99% of mainland Europe, if not England as well. And at that point, it's like, I'm done marrying at least, like, my heir off for alliances. I'm gonna marry my heir so his kids are giants, and I'm gonna marry that guy so that his kids are giants and strong, and all these, and just start stacking congenitals, because...
That's actually another thing that really bothered me about CK3. Like, CK2, you really had to work for it to get that big.
Yeah.
CK3 is a lot easier.
It's a lot. The game was meant to be easier.
Yeah. Actually, one of the most fun that I had playing CK2 was when I went into the custom rules, and I made it... I dramatically reduced the number of allowable direct vassals per title.
Right.
And imagine playing as the Byzantines, but even the Emperor can only have 10 direct vassals.
Yeah, I mean, those limits are pretty similar to what's actually in the game right now. Because you can only hold 2 duchies.
And that was still the case as well.
Yeah, you can hold 2 duchies, and you can have, like, if you hold 2 duchies and a kingdom, you're okay, but, like, you can only have, I think, 24 direct vassals as a king. It's like, once you start I own 4 kingdoms. I can't become an empire because I haven't finished the Reconquista.
Yeah, so you're forced to make strong vassals, which is fine Generation 1, because they're also grateful. And then Generation 2, it's kind of manageable. Then Generation 3, it's like,
Luckily, what I've done is I ended up giving up all of my African holdings, basically. Because I didn't want to make strong vassals, because strong vassals mean I'm dead. Just does. Strong vassals will always fuck you in the ass. So, yeah, like, I just ended up giving up, like, because I held, like, 98% of North Africa, so I said, fuck it, I just don't want any. So I just didn't take it back on the next succession cycle.
Yeah, oh shit, I just died.
What
Okay, 414. Very nice air, though. Yeah, this is good. 414 is a little annoying, but 544 air after that. The monarch point scale from 0 to 6, so 3.5 technically is average, but you can't get that, so like 414 is below average, 544 is above, and the thing is, my ruler's 32, I've got 15 years of a below average ruler who's not terrible, but is below average, until I can abdicate and give it to a 544, so not a bad succession, all things told. I've gotten caught before into like 001s, and it is hard. It is rough.
Right.
And actually, this is something you didn't used to be able to disinherit your heirs.
Yeah, they added that in the CK3 as well.
In CK3, that seems really, really good. Like I did that a lot because why not?
Well, the big issue is it does take a decent bit of dynasty reputation, which
But that
I
that is
they
a late game issue. It's not an early game issue.
early game, yeah, early game disinheriting is very much something you should do. But like when it comes to late game, like the amount, like I have in my empire in my Spain one, I have like 2 whole trees decked out,
Yeah.
and I'm like halfway through a 3rd dynasty tree, which like is insane how many buffs you start stacking with that.
Yeah, and that's true, and that's really good. But the way that I viewed it for that was the amount that you pay, especially early on, is well worth it in order to keep things orderly, because as soon as you have
Yeah.
your own dynasty on other thrones,
Yeah.
you make back that dynasty so easily. It's insane.
Exactly. At that, like, in the early game, it's 100% worth it, and you have to start wondering late game, kind of,
Yeah.
do
Which-
I want to?
That's good balance, I think. That's like
Yeah,
there's
it
there are a
is.
couple of parallels in EU4 where there are decisions that are good in the early game that are bad, and here's one of them. You can sell titles and
Yeah.
reduce your own crown land, and
Right.
in the early game, it's not amazing, but it's acceptable.
Right.
In the
If you
late
do it
game,
late game, you're a fucking moron.
right? I mean, so in the early game, what happens is whenever you conquer land, your crown land gets split up based off of the crown land of the territory that you conquered. So if I have, let's just say I have 10 dev and I have 100% crown land, and I conquer 10 dev of 0% crown land, well now I have 20 dev of 50% crown land. So if I'm small, and I'm conquering, in the early game when nobody owns much crown land, even if I get my own crown land up, the second I take more land in a war, I just lose it all.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, I may as well sell it.
Right.
But in the late game, I mean, the AI, oh, Swedish troops, man.
Uh-oh, the Swedes.
They actually showed up. Okay. I have no navy capable of fighting them, and I have no military access over that section of my own territory, so...
That's a problem.
Should be fine. Should be fine. They're not gonna be able to siege me down before I wait, is that Volgast? Sweden has Volgast as a personal, yeah. Volgast is a personal union of Sweden.
All I
hell?
care about is whether or not I can make Lundsnachts.
Oh, okay. Cat,
I
don't
know
turn off the
far
computer.
too much about them to not use them at like every opportunity I
Hmm. Okay. Let's dev up in the middle of a war. It's a good decision. Yeah. Okay. That's fine. I think this should be okay. Oh yeah, this is fine. They moved their fleet because they're very stupid.
get. Yay, AI did AI thing.
Well, I mean, I think it's so far away. If they kept their fleet there, it would attrit and die. But as a result, I should be able to ferry my armies over.
Right.
Let's see. Yeah, this is all transport, so it'll only take me two to go. And let's go to Dubrovnik with one army. Good, they're already running away. I like it. And we'll go to Split with the other army. Move up to Hum. Oh, Separatist and Luka, damn it. I should have been watching that. I wasn't watching that. Okay, Swedes are gone. They tried. They tried their hearts out. Okay, let's take that, take this, and boom. Done. Okay, that gives me a better launching ground for the Venetian Wars. And it means I can go in against Siena, fight the Venetians. How big's their army? 25,000 men. Okay, can I call in against Siena. Not Wallachia or Austria. I might be able to win this war right now, but it would be a close run thing. Outnumbered by 10,000 men.
That is quite a lot.
Yeah, in this portion of the game, it's a lot. On the other hand, if I don't... I mean, Genoa is allied with Aragon and Venice, so either way I'm fighting Venice there. I think Milan might be the way to go. Until I can call in Austria against Venice, which I might be able to do soon. It's a little unclear. 25 favors. Let's see how far off of joining they were. 24 to 76. Ah, they're in debt. Damn it. Yeah.
Love that problem.
Yeah. The AI will get in debt, and then because of the debt, they don't want to join any of your wars, but they're happy to wage their own.
Yeah.
And increase their debt more.
Which is something I do like about CK3 is that you can't declare a war if you're in debt.
Yeah, actually, it's pretty nice, isn't it?
You're physically unable to do it. Like, what are we supposed to pay our troops with?
Let's do Icon of St. Nicholas. Yeah, I mean, here you can still technically get money, it's just off of loans.
Yeah, you can take out loans if you have, like, the right setups for it. You can take out loans from, like, holy orders that you've made, or at least control.
It's just not as straightforward.
Yeah, because you can't take out a loan from the Pope or anything like that. It has to be... It has to be from a holy order, basically.
Yeah.
That's the only way that I know to do it.
Okay, well, let's see if I can use my development here. Rum, Ancona, and Molise. Where's Ancona? Okay, there's Ancona, there's Molise. Shit, that kinda hurt. Alright, encourage development. And encourage development. Boom. If you ever do play EU4, keep in mind that every 10 development increases your number of possible building slots by 1. So whenever you're deving something up, there's a benefit of getting it to round numbers.
Yeah.
This is going to still take a little while. Let's go ahead and pop that. Tech production efficiency is good.
Yeah, the only ways to increase how many building slots you get in CK3, because they have nerfed it. It used to be you just get 4. Now it depends on societal unlocks and whatnot, so you can get up to like 8 in a castle. In like a castle town thing.
It's pretty nice.
Leads to some insanely powerful cities.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And like stationing men-at-arms, especially now with that coming in. So now it used to be like buildings just gave a bonus to all of your units.
Yeah.
Now buildings give bonuses to the units that are stationed in that town.
Oh, there goes all sorts of bullshit that you could do with... I mean, when I said that I played in Brittany, I basically did Celtish longbow.
Oh, yeah.
And you just... you build archery everywhere. And since every single one increases the capability of all of your archers...
Right.
Like, your archers just become Gatling guns.
And, yeah, like, to a certain extent, you can still do things like that. You can still... Yeah, there's a limit to how many buffs you can give your units. And you can also no longer buff levies. You only buff men-at-arms. Levies are levies now.
I thought it was nice. So, I played a game there. I united the Slavs.
Yeah.
And I fought off the Huns. And that was so much fun because there were so many of them, but I had spec'd into light cavalry, and I had the mobile armies of the gods. Yeah. And it was a really nice, really fun war of maneuver.
Right.
But if you can't build that tall with your buffs, then that's
Yeah,
going to be a lot harder.
it is. Like, the buffs can still be like then a trade-off. They've made each building give bigger buffs.
I mean, but they don't
So,
stack, so it's irrelevant. It's like it's not going to be nearly as good.
You can only build one of each building still. They've added new buildings. They've added new things. There's less buffing able to be done, and it gives more power to wide empires over tall.
Probably good if they've balanced that out with the number of buildings. That seems like a good overall change because
they're pushing players wide.
Yeah, I fully acknowledge you could do stupid shit that you shouldn't have been able to do.
You use like it used to be. I'm just gonna control all of the held duchies and just keep like the duchy capitals, and now you're heavily.
I bet that makes strong vassals more scary as well, because
It does,
the
because
quality
now
of your
they
troops
have-
isn't going to be so much better than theirs.
Exactly. Now they have an ability. Now they have the ability to make just as good men at arms as you do. And
Yeah, I don't like that.
pretty scary.
Seems bad.
Yeah, but like it's a welcome change, because partially just because the game became so repetitive.
Yeah, I
They're
mean, you
changing
just blob
things up,
everywhere.
making you think about different strategies is welcome in my.
Yeah, that does seem good.
It's changed it up a lot, and it's made me actually have to think about how I play, versus just
Having to think when playing games, man.
fuck it. Which one of these buff heavy infantry? Okay, that one, everywhere, right?
Yeah,
That's all I
pretty
did,
much.
just-
And there was no diversity to it ever, because
Exactly.
if you did that, you'd spread out your stacked buffs, which was just strictly worse.
Yeah.
So, I mean, hey, I'm all for
Now-
good changes. I'm happy
Yeah.
when games are well done. So,
Yeah. They've buffed, they nerf heavy cav by making them more expensive, basically.
they already kind of were not great.
They're still like death to levies and death to heavy infantry and archers.
Well, right, but they were never as powerful as their stats because the size is smaller.
So the size is no longer smaller.
Ooh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
okay.
have 12,000 heavy cav.
Fuck. All right. Yeah. No, that's good.
Yeah. It's
'Cause-
no longer half-sized.
So they actually listened when that guy did the math on how heavy cavalry mathematically suck because they aren't ever dishing out that much because yada yada yada.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh.
They are now full-sized.
That actually seems very nice.
They are terrifying now. They will fuck shit up on flat ground. They are death.
As it should be.
Yeah, they're terrifyingly good. I always liked heavy cav. I would only run heavy cav and heavy infantry the second I unlocked heavy cav. I'd run a household guard just because household guard are free. There is no upkeep to them.
Sure.
They have better defense, but they max out at 500 of them.
Yeah, that's from
They're-
the dynasty, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's the final dynasty unlock for that one free is the household guard, which is a real 500 man free men at arms unit of heavy infantry, which is pretty fucking good. So like I will always still go that because I still think it's pretty much the best tree.
Yeah.
Like just having a high marshal is super important early game when you start out as a small.
I think depending on the region, you could make strong arguments for going down the longevity bit first.
Yes,
especially.
longevity can definitely also be useful.
Yeah.
I can definitely agree with you there. I just tend to go high marshal because expansion is so important to get done early game.
No, that's fair as well.
And like,
I'm bleeding
if you
gold.
have a insanely good, leader that's just a god tier commander. Because I've gotten a guy who I went down the longevity tree and then I went back over to chivalry, where I had a guy who was 80 with like 100 prowess. And with so many night buffs stacked up, then when you'd go into the night thing, I had one night kill like 300 enemies in one battle.
Okay.
It's insane.
It's like reading Troy.
Yeah, you could, like, it was to the point where I had so many buffs stacked up, 'cause this is when I played as Germany, basically. Where it's just like, I never raised my levies unless it was a Empire versus Empire fight. It's like, I don't care if I was outnumbered. I had tier 4 army, like I had tier 4 rating army, so...
Yeah, that was always the point you wanted it to get to in CK2, where your personal retinue could just take on everything.
Yeah, and getting to that is so fucking awesome.
Yeah.
It just makes you feel better.
You played CK2?
I own it. I don't own any of the when they released it for free, so I have it. No DLC or anything, and it confused me. It was too much.
Yeah, it is more complicated. I mean, that's the theme with Paradox games. They've gotten simpler over time. But there were things, so different infantry fought in different phases, which I believe is still the case in CK3.
Kind of. You have
a skirmish phase with light infantry and archers.
Yeah, and then you have a fight. Well, nowadays it just seems to be a fighting phase and then a retreat phase.
Yeah, it was more complicated than that.
Yeah, it's not very complicated anymore.
And basically, the thing with it was, light infantry and archers sucked because heavy infantry could weather the storm. Heavy infantry and pikes could weather the storm, and then they would dish out more because the skirmish phase, light infantry would do more damage. The main fight phase, heavy infantry and pikes would do more damage, and since their base stats were that much better, you would lose over time, right? Because the phase that favored skirmishers was only at the beginning of the fight, not any time after that. But what would happen is if you hit critical mass of light infantry, you could kill anything and everything that you fight in the skirmish phase before allowing it to get to the main combat. Point. And it still had a similar thing, unless my memory is mistaken on this, which I don't think it is, where if you kill quickly enough, you get rid of the entire stack. Like in EU4, if you kill an army within 10 days, and you have at least double its number...
you can wipe an army.
Yeah, that was how you did it. So
it's changed how you do it now.
But this was really hard to do.
Enough, yeah, if you wipe it quickly enough, I've wiped 14k man armies, no problem.
Yeah.
But the main way you do that now is you win the fight, and then your cavalry then there's a chase down phase in which cavalry, especially light cavalry, rack up kills.
Yeah, and that was what I did when I united the Slavs. But in CK2, the way that you'd get that same sort of success is you wouldn't even need the rundown phase.
Yeah, you wipe them out beforehand.
And if you played in Africa, so the special units were still regional. Yeah. And if you played in Africa, you got... Oh, shit.
Okay, so there are still...
Oh, that's the Hungarian...
Okay, so there are 4 phases.
Oh, okay.
So maneuver phase is 2 days, so that's preparation. Then early battle phase.
Yeah, the early battle favored skirmishers back in the day.
If an army is defeated in this phase, all routed casualties become fatal.
So
you have 12 days
are you kidding me?
You have 12 days to stack wipe, basically.
Oh, God. Do you see what just happened?
I can. Yes.
My ally of Wallachia has just called me into a defensive war against Austria.
Oh, you're fucked.
Who also is my ally, and just inherited Hungary.
Oh.
So, time to break that alliance and lose a bunch of prestige and make everyone mad at me. Including Austria, because Austria will lose trust with me because I didn't go into a war against them.
Stupid. So, yeah, and then there's late battle phase, which is keep fighting and inflict until each day until all soldiers either run or run out of toughness.
Yeah.
An army retreats, all remaining soldiers become routed casualties. Then aftermath, it attempts to turn routed to fatal.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much the same phases.
Yeah, it might be a little bit different. I'm just trying to see if there's any buffs to... Let me look up the men-at-arms.
My inflation's getting out of control. Oh, it's because Serbia relies on a gold mine for its early income.
I mean, gold do make money.
Yeah, well.
So yeah, so 5 stats: damage, toughness, pursuit, screen, and strength. Each point in damage causes 0.03 damage during battle. Toughness reduces losses caused by damage. Each point allows taking 1 damage before losing all strength. Pursuit does 0.17 damage during the retreat phase, and screen blocks damage during the retreat phase.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same values.
And then strength is... Okay, so it does actually, it is still heavy cavalry, have 50 soldiers, which sucks. Elephant have 25, siege have 10, other have 100. So you can double it. But I still have like 1,400 heavy cavalry.
You just had to build twice as many. Like, once they hit critical mass, I'm sure they're amazing. It's just...
It's a critical mass thing.
You can mathematically prove that they're less efficient and certainly less gold efficient.
Oh, they definitely are not, because they're super expensive, but they're cool.
Yeah.
So a levy has 10 attack, 10 defense. That is what levies are now. They're 10
Just
attack.
got rid of my wrong spy. Meant to get rid of the other spy.
And there's so men-at-arms. So
let's go up to Culverin.
the big thing that you look at is currently the big difference with men-at-arms is just favorable terrain. A lot of it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like light footmen are good. They get a bonus in forest, and they get a bonus in forest, jungles, and like taiga, right?
Right.
And they're pretty good. They're not too expensive, unraised or raised. Bowmen do more damage, have less toughness, and have no spree or pursuit, so they don't. And they count.
Almost like they're meant to stand in the back line.
Exactly. But they counter light footmen, so your light footman will do half damage if the opponent has archers.
I remember, I think what I brought oftentimes in CK3 was pikes and archers.
Yeah. That tended to be where you ended up going.
Yeah, I mean, the logic was that the pikes will counter cav, the archers will kill any light infantry, and then the pikemen would be more or less... Ooh, collapse of the Mamluks. Interesting. The pikemen could be more or less okay.
The big issue, pikemen have the issue of armored footmen will destroy them.
Yeah.
But, and that, like, that's, like, typically I run one of everything, and then eventually I just say fuck it and I go to what I want. Because, like, you get access to crossbows, which are just
Busted
archers. But, well, the thing is, archers are good against light footmen. Crossbows are good against heavy footmen and cavalry.
They used to have they used to get buffed out of the same building, though.
They do. They get buffed out of the same building. They still get buffed out of the bow buildings.
Right. Which makes
funnily enough, armored horsemen now only counter archers. Light horsemen also counter archers. So armored horsemen are they're just worse. Because they have a 20 in pursuit. Light horsemen have a 30 in pursuit.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to beat light cavalry for that. Like, light cavalry do some of the most efficient, certainly the most cost-efficient chase down.
That's the thing. Light horsemen, damage of 22. Armored horsemen, damage of 100.
Yeah, but...
Kind of insane.
You get so many more kills in the chase down anyway.
Whereas House Guard are hilarious. They get, so when you have a counter, you get to, the counter statistically halves it. House Guard, order.
Well, it's not straight half, it's the ratio of the,
so being countered is 50% damage.
Right, but it's not direct. It builds up. Like, you can't counter one type of unit that's at 10,000 strength with 100 men. So you apply.
You still get the counter. Yeah, there's math. I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, the funny thing is house guards. So except for elephants and house guards, so elephants and house guards have the same. Have different maintenance rates when raised or unraised.
Yeah.
Like house guard have no unraised cost, and when they're raised, they cost 1.
Wallachia is now gone.
They also
My
have
ally.
40, so compared to armored footmen, it's 32 versus 40, 22 versus 32, no pursuit, and armored footmen have no screen. House guard do have screen, which is hilarious.
My ally since the beginning of the game is no more.
Yeah.
They've
Yeah,
been lost to the sands of time.
out. Yeah, like House Guard. Instead of just single counter, they double counter. So they counter. They double counter archers and they double counter pikes,
Yeah, it's good.
which is great. Um, yeah.
Oh, okay, we've caught him. We've caught him. We caught him. Caught the Milanese army.
And then you can get the
Oh, that's
regional
nice.
ones like Caballeros, which are better. They're better light cav.
Yeah. The
Camel
Slavics have
Riders.
a better light cav as well.
Yeah, you get Kobalars or Sahel horsemen, one of the two. Pikes, which are regional bows, war elephants, which are African Indian
Yeah,
elephants.
I mean
which are the other unit or one of the few other units with double games.
yeah. I mean, Havelars, the Slavic light cav also had a double counter, I believe.
No, they single counter archers, sadly.
Really?
The Hell horsemen counter archers and heavy infantry, weirdly enough.
That might be what I was
best-
thinking.
They are the best light cav in the game because they counter just light, they're just archers. War elephants double counter light infantry and heavy infantry. War elephants are insane. They also cost 400.
I used to think that generals with good maneuver in this game were like good but not game-breakingly good. Now I think they're game-breakingly good. I just chased down 2 advantageous engagements because I have general with maneuver 5 out of 6, which my troops are just, they have wheels for feet, man. They're special forces.
Yeah, and then you get if you have certain traditions, you get special soldiers as well. You have
Hmm.
regionals, which is you have to be present. Your culture has to be present in that region.
Yeah, I mean,
Regionals, which is the traditions of
I am familiar with it.
cultures have traditions now, which is so much more like you can get like palace guards if you have royal
That-
army. They double counter pikemen, which is insane.
That's not necessarily that new. That's been in since
It's been a while.
Yeah.
Since the culture update.
Right.
Then you have the cultural ones, the Chokunu archers, which half counter horse archers and counter light infantry.
Shit, that's a bad
Landsknechts.
fight? How is that a bad fight? Fuck.
Landsknechts, which double counter both types of horses and have a half counter against regular pikes.
Hold on, I need to concentrate.
Got it.
The Milanese army got a good engagement, and they're trying to chase me down. But I think they just messed up. Yeah, they just messed up. I'm gonna take out their reinforcements. 2 days, 1 day, there we go. There's the siege of Milan. Now I have 40,000 men again to fight. And we'll go to morale of armies +1. Okay. Crisis is passed.
Now, so you have like the regional, like Landsknechts are the best pikes in the game because they also counter pikes.
Yeah, I'm familiar.
They're anti-pike pikes. Great.
Yeah.
The Romans get like a version of House Guard, essentially, just a better version of they get legionnaires,
Yeah, right.
which is interesting.
You could also get cataphracts at one point.
Cataphract, yeah, the cataphracti, right? Yeah, cataphracts, which just require that you you have Eastern Roman legacy in your
Right. So they
in
could
your
get double
culture.
special units, which was really really nice. I could
but
end this
now-
war right now, but instead I think I want to punish the Milanese army a little bit, so...
with the new with the new update, you have Knights of Acclaim, and you now get retinues.
Yeah, I'm familiar. I have a buddy who has played the new
Well,
updates.
yeah.
So yeah,
You can
I'm familiar.
You can get retinue war elephants. It's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really liked them bringing back retinue. I think that was something that was definitely, at game launch, it was missing.
It's difficult to get it on your ruler because you get it through the accolade knights. So like you have knights with titles that get better the longer the title stays in constant succession in war.
But you can keep it somewhat consistent, at least, stuff like that.
I've gotten them up to level 5, and they're fucking insane. You'll get like, you can get like retinue lancers, which is insanely good. Outriders, the war elephants, they're
if you do ever play EU4 and you're in the Age of Discovery, I highly recommend the age bonus called Transfer Subject, because everyone looks at this and they see, okay, allows transfer subject peace treaty at half cost, and everyone ignores the second part, which allows claims bordering claims. And that is unique to just this age, and it is so strong, it's insane. Like, this last war,
yeah,
I had one border with Milan, just Parma.
Right.
Any other age, or if I didn't have that, I would have been able to put a claim on Parma, and that's it.
Yeah, now you can claim...
Yeah, I claimed Cremona and Pavia, and I was able to take all of them, which,
yeah.
admittedly, I'm pushing a coalition again. Actually, a
Right.
pretty large one, with, like, all of Europe. But, it's somewhat contained. Cool. Yeah, and it's somewhat contained because having a claim reduces the aggressive expansion. So if I had done that grab without claims, I'd be getting killed by the entire Holy Roman Empire.
That's actually pretty nice.
Yeah. So it's huge because, I mean, I picked up an additional 42 development, which just, I know that number probably doesn't mean all that much to you. It's 10% of my current. It's 10% of my current country size.
Right.
Well, technically 9% because, you know, like 1 out of 11 is 9.09, but yeah, close enough.
Yeah.
So that was definitely like.
I think the max development now in CK3 is 50.
Yeah, it's not really a comparable scale.
No, it doesn't seem to be.
Yeah, I mean, if we look right now, the highest dev province in this area is Constantinople at 43. We also have, you know, London at 29, Paris at 34. Prague at 24.
Paris is below London. Interesting.
No, Paris is higher. 34.
No, that's what I meant. Sorry, that London is below Paris.
I don't think it's all that off for this age.
Oh, I just like to shit on Paris.
I mean, who doesn't?
Exactly.
I think even Parisians at one point like to shit, certainly in Paris, if not on Paris.
They like to set it on fire. That's for sure.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like the dev between the two games really is not.
Yeah,
that,
it's not the same.
Yeah, and then you have some horrible stuff like the mountains in Greece are development 4. Right, and the goofy thing here is like player-developed provinces are usually much more efficient.
Right.
And the efficiency's a little goofy. Basically, every point of development in one type, because there are 3 types, and that holds for development as well, monarch points and dev. Every point that you put in is more impactful than the previous. So if we look, for example, at Rome, which was developed mostly by the AI and the starting value, it's pretty evenly spread. If we look at Kosovo, it's 4-10-6, which seems evenly spread until you realize that, you know, no one can be more than the sum of the others.
Yeah.
So
the maximum you can put into.
Yeah, and then like the other places, I dev'd up Molis, and it's the same thing. It's heavily favored on Diplo and manpower, which gives me more men and it gives me more production. So developing your own provinces is huge, and
it allows you to specialize them.
Exactly. It's specialization on top of specializing in buildings as well. So you got actually 2 layers of it here, which I think is very nice. It can allow you to do like stupid broken things, right? So if we take a look, I have 443 development, and with that 443 development, I have a land force limit of 44. I'm currently fielding 40 men. Poland has a very similar development. They're currently fielding 32,000. And if we look at their army size, their force limit's 37. So despite the fact that if we look at their trade goods as well, and we see that they have a lot of grain, which encourages manpower, and tends to be manpower-weighted dev, and I don't, right?
Yeah.
I actually have more manpower available than they do.
Because you're able to specialize.
Right. So I have higher quality development, even if it is the same-ish number. Just
More
goofy.
reason for aggressive early expansion.
Right. Don't want the... Well, so this cuts both ways. And it cuts both ways because everything I dev up myself, I have to pay for out of my own monarch points. You can't get those back. So The HRE, as an example of this, the Holy Roman Empire is a bunch of small little princes.
Yeah.
And they will develop their own provinces, and it's wonderful because this stuff starts really low dev, and then by the time you're conquering, it's like 26, 28 dev.
Right.
And I never, right, like the only cost I pay for that is something called coring cost, which comes out of admin, which is how you basically conquer stuff.
You put a core on it, yeah.
Right, but it is always cheaper to conquer than
it is to
develop.
Okay.
Which is, it's an interesting choice.
Right.
But yeah, that is always true. So it's a double-edged sword. If you're looking, like, quite frankly, if you go wide enough, fast enough, it doesn't super matter if you have super high quality dev strat.
Right.
But
you have so much of it.
Right, it matters in the mid game, which is where we are right now, and it matters if you're an underdog, which is where we are right now, because I have to fight the Ottomans and Austria and all of that.
Yeah,
like,
you have to fight all the big boys.
Right. It wouldn't matter so much. Like, if I was Muscovy and I was just taking chunks out of Poland and Lithuania, I don't care.
Yeah.
It's just a number at that point. But, you know.
But you're not. You're...
Right. It does actually matter. And, like, the difference between doing that well and poorly could be about a 20-year difference on the first war against the Ottomans, which turns into an even bigger difference in terms of actually getting the achievement that I want, which is the reconquest of this. It's like...
the Balkans, yeah.
Right. So it
Yeah.
it's one of the things that I learned playing multiplayer with this game. It is worth having a stressful early game, because if you are playing multiplayer and you make those decisions and you get that advantage, and your erstwhile friends who are playing in the same multiplayer game don't,
Right.
you steamroll, and you're not going to steamroll them in 10 years. You're not going to steamroll them in 40 years. But come late game, they can't hold a candle.
Yeah.
So, I did that one time. I was playing as Poland. It became the Commonwealth. I conquered all of the Balkans, all of Turkey, and Persia, as well as into Russia. And I did this with the sole intention of making my way down to the southeast, where one of the other multiplayer people was playing as India, and to Africa, where one of the other multiplayer people was playing basically as a sub-Saharan African country that then conquered that far north. And by the time I got down there, it was like 1710, 1720.
Right.
The Polish armies numbered 1.2 million. And the people I was playing against, their largest army was something like 400,000. Yeah. Yeah, it was just, it's just game. It's just, you know what? Get wrecked. Like, they had forts, it didn't matter. They had men, it didn't matter. I burned my way through. So we had tried to have a bit of a, and I'll pause to explain this. We tried to have a bit of a gentleman's agreement. Hell with it. Where wars between players, we would not require somebody to like take every single province, get 100% war score before we'd accept any peace.
Right.
The proposal was basically like, let's imagine the AI was another person was Austria and I'm Serbia. Austria would basically say, hey, I'm going to fight you over your Balkan possessions.
Right.
And I would say, okay, well, that's a significant portion of my holding. I'm not going to accept any peace deal with you until you have, say, 55% war score against me. The player who was in India at the time did not really respect that rule. So I conquered every single province in India.
As you do.
Yeah. Got 100% war score, and there's a game mechanic where basically if you offer less than half of the war score that you have, and the war score that you have is sufficiently high, it lowers your stability. And if your stability hits -3, you are forced to accept the peace deal. So
Yeah.
I burned my way through India and forced him to accept a peace deal.
That's fucking hilarious. That's
We-
what you should do.
Yeah, we restarted next week, the week after that. I wonder why.
I am going to end you.
Yeah, pretty much. It was I mean, friendly rivalries up to that point, right? And it just became, I firmly believe if you're going to play multiplayer, interact with the other people. Otherwise, just play
That's
single
the
player.
point. Yeah, that's the entire point of it.
Right, so he and I were talking shit the whole time, and it came down to, okay, well, let's have a fight, and it was very satisfying for me.
Yeah, for you, yeah. Maybe not for him.
Yeah, important caveat, I suppose, but
Right. Yeah, he deserved it, right?
oh no, he's a nice fellow. I don't know. We had made and I had broken a series of agreements to keep each other in our own spheres of influence.
Right.
He only broke one agreement, and I was just like, oh no, you broke an agreement. I guess that means everything's off. By the way, I've been
void, yeah, null and void.
yeah, by the way, I've been ignoring these anyway, but now I'll ignore them formally.
By the way, I've been massing troops at the Polish border, and now I'm just going to go for it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it is a good time. EU4 multiplayer, I think, is actually really, really well balanced.
Yeah.
So long as players select similar style nations. His Revenge, by the way, the next game that we played, the next multiplayer we played, we picked, so there were 4 of us. We gave each other options for what to pick. So I had 3 options that were given by the other 3 people in the group. And because of my aggression and taking out a player in the previous ones, all of my options were ass. Yeah, I ended up, oh shit, hold on. There we are, good. I ended up playing as Hawaii. 1 province minor in the middle of the ocean, can't conquer anything until you get fucking colonialism. And
what the fuck? That's hilarious.
No, that game ended after I became Central America and South America and England and France and Spain. I went Sunset Invasion on them, and I was just like, yep, this is mine now, by the way. You guys are Italy and Morocco? Okay, let's fight.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. It was a ton of fun.
Great.
So, yeah. It's a little bit more cooperative. Well, Wargame, like if you and I were to play right now in Wargame, from day 1, we're at each other's throats.
Yeah, we're in.
Yeah, like from second 1, it's at each other's throats. That's not the case with this. You can kind of cooperate a little. Hold on, let me pick an idea set here. I like espionage for Italy because it has the reduction to aggressive expansion impacts, but otherwise it's kind of a meh idea set, which is not great. But we do have a coalition, but I also need money. Oh, who do you want me to fight now? Austria calling me in against Poland, Lithuania, and Ducal Prussia. Hide with Verdun. I think I have to go in on this one. We'll accept. That's fine. It's going to potentially... When you're at war with people, coalitions tend to form.
Yeah.
So that's not great for me. Let's go with trade. Let's get income.
Coalitions are never good. They're always a problem.
Well, they can be exploited successfully. Actually, in one of the older vids in this series with Serbia, I completely just went... I did an end run around a coalition pretty effectively. This one, however, yeah, everyone in Italy is in a coalition against me, so
Right.
it's not exactly great. I didn't manage the truce as well. The only truce that I have the possibility of getting out of this well with is with Milan, which is... that's not until 28. Let's go up to speed 4. Be a little quick here. No declaration of indulgences, because I don't care about the tolerance of heretics. Okay. Religious unity is actually a bit of an issue. Negative 2.1, 2.2. Okay, we can fix that. It's going to be expensive, but there we are. Religious unity is super important.
Oh, trust me, I'm aware. I play CK3.
Yeah. I think it's actually more important in EU4. Provinces will just rebel endlessly, and stability Like that's in CK3 as well, but it also
It's not as
increases
bad,
your
but-
stability cost,
Yeah.
which snowballs.
Right.
So it's not a good place to be. Alright, so that's the plan. We wait until 28. We'll attack Milan. We'll finish off Milan. We'll get some northern border forts. Should be able to bring the military up to about 56,000 men by that point, if I don't miss my mark. Which I figure I'm probably right about that. Yeah, for me it is midnight. It's 12:48.
Yeah, well, I've got that central time, baby.
Yeah. One of my computers is still set to that from when I was in Chicago. Huh. It's not the worst. Okay, do I actually need to help out in this war? No. This is a bit of a problem. I don't want Austria to get all of it. Like, look at this. Look at how big Austria is. Austria is huge. Which is good for me, because they'll help me against the Ottomans, but it's bad for me because, well, I kind of wanted this territory. Liko, Rijeka, Crane. I need it for the achievement. Specifically the Croatia state. So this is actually a little obnoxious. I'm not really sure how to get around that. I say fire and regiments. Oh, other thing, if you ever do play EU4, my troops are drilling, and this is something that is very, very, very important that people will overlook because it costs a lot of money. So if I'm in a peace, or if I'm in a war that I don't really particularly care to fight, like an AI war,
Yeah.
I can just reduce the maintenance on my army, and I'll save a ton of money, like 5-6 gold a month. I'm currently
Right,
negative
right.
2. I'd be positive instead of negative. However, first off, drilling your armies increases your professionalism, which gives you bonuses.
Right. Yeah.
So I get +2 shock and fire damage right now because of that. If you get it to 100, you get plus 10%. But the more important thing is actually the unit by unit value. So at 100 drill, any given unit deals an additional 10 shock and fire damage, which is great, but
Yeah.
receives 25% less.
Ooh.
Yeah, which is absurdly high. A unit at full drill, so my 20 stack at full drill versus another one of my 20 stacks, so like my technology, my units, my bonuses, except for drill, it would not even be close. So army drill is huge, but you lose it over time if your units aren't drilling, and you lose it when you take casualties. So if you ever watch me do wars in this game, I will always try to fight as much as I can in the first couple weeks. And the entire rationale is I have to siege things down, I have to take over castles and things like that, right?
Yeah.
If I'm doing that, then I'm going to be taking attrition. If I'm taking attrition, I'm going to be losing drill. So I'm better off taking the hard fights right off the bat. Also, Venice is going to fuck me over here by taking over Milan and probably conquering all of this territory, and then they're in the coalition, and that sucks. I did not manage that well.
Oh God, right. Twitter's changing into X.
Yeah, what the hell is up with that?
Oh, it's Elon Musk being a little bitch. Yeah. The usual. Funnily enough, X is trademarked by a certain. Oh yeah, it's Mark Zuckerberg. It's already trademarked, which is hilarious.
I don't care much for that sort of
I don't care much for any of them.
stuff. Like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
If people want to be,
Being an idiot is all it's being.
yeah. Yep. Okay, this is what I thought. Venice took 2 of the remaining Milanese provinces. Milan somehow got Genoa from Genoa, so I guess that's still the goal. Would be nice if I could actually state these, though. Let's give out Berger's land rights. Good.
Land rights.
Well, no, so doing that, I should have done it earlier. That was a mistake.
I'm sure there's benefits of this.
Yeah, every province has a value called autonomy.
Right.
And
yeah.
it's just a flat reduction. It's a multiplicative reduction to the development in that section. So when you core a province, when you conquer, you have to core. When you core, you can core it into a territory, or you can core it into a state. To get to a territory, which is the first step, happens just to get the core. You pay 50%, and you have 90% autonomy.
Okay.
And if you're a state, you pay 100% and you get 0% autonomy, ignoring other contributing factors.
Right.
So basically, if you're going to pay half and you get 10%, you may as well pay the whole and get the whole.
Right, yeah.
So, so by not doing that, I was losing out on tax base. I was losing out on army force limit.
No, not taxes.
I know, right? Dude,
It's the IRS of your country, guys.
I hate taxes.
I think I don't.
I mean, everyone does. Oh, wait, no.
Everyone does, but I'm still gonna pay them as long as they. The only reason I hate them is because they don't go where they should.
1 year before I could abdicate the throne in favor of my heir dies. I now have no heir, and my ruler is 46.
No. Better start fucking just around the clock.
I actually do need some luck there. It's not.
I mean, I've had a kid at 70 in CK3.
Yeah, well.
Well, if it was mine, that's the other question. But pretty sure it was. I had a really good spy master, so unless it was my spy master.
Okay, here's the thing about CK3 that has bothered me about stuff like that. Let's say that I, what was the thing where you can get like a holy bloodline or something?
Yeah, consecrate bloodline.
Yeah, consecrate bloodline. And then I have a child who's probably not mine.
He's not gonna have holy consecrated bloodline.
It used to be that he did.
Really? They don't anymore, because the only way to get it now, it's because it is congenial. It has to be, you have to have someone with holy
So
blood.
it used to be that way too, but if you trusted your wife, then the child would have the trait.
I see, right, because it's not an actual congenial trait either.
Right.
Holy blood, right?
Right.
Funnily enough, at this point, it's also not worth it to consecrate your own bloodline.
Really? It used to be.
Because there's the thing, at some point, some person in France will do it.
So?
You marry the person in France, and now all of your kids have it.
I don't know. I mean, there are other benefits to doing it.
There are. It's a large investment, is kind of my point. Is like, and they do give you plenty of bonuses, and they can very much be worth it. But especially if you get powerful at that point in time, just banging a French woman tends to end up being more advantageous.
It seems like one of those always a bad idea things to me, but
yeah, I mean, if you're already going for a faith build, like if you're already going to like try and reform the faith or something, yeah, do it. Like, there's no reason not to at that point.
yeah, I just always.
If you're not, it's just.
I would
really
always
effective.
have one heir who was high enough in piety where it seemed reasonable.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you typically can make an argument for it at some point, but.
Or for example, it's like the person who got a really good start later on when you have some good congenial traits and you have just really high stats, and because of that you speed run the trees there.
Yeah, exactly. But like at a certain point, I just.
Oh God, that Austria! Look at this. They're all the way up to Netza. They're gonna form a U. They're gonna form the Austrian donut.
Oh, jeez. What the hell is that? That's border bore, man.
Yeah, that is.
That is some border bore.
Okay, we have claims on Macedonia and Albania. Our first claims on Ottomans. And do I lose these cores? Yeah, I lose it in 94. Which would suck. Okay, so that's our timeline. We have to successfully fight against the Ottomans before 94, which will actually be a little tough, but not impossible.
Not undoable.
Well, so I have 50,000 men. Well, I could get up to 50,000 men. The Ottomans have 124,000. The Austrians have 55. This is the thing. The Austrians, right when they take Hungary, will be weaker for it.
Right.
Personal union.
Oh, that's tinnitus. Ow.
You okay?
Tinnitus.
Yeah.
Just, it happens. It hurts. It's never fun.
It seems that way.
Luckily, that was a short one.
So what's going to make this tough is the Austrians are weakened by integrating Hungary.
Right.
And that... Oh, okay. I will become a Habsburg. This is actually really good. Good. 363. Very nice. So despite the fact that Austria is flipping huge, like they're 3 times my size.
Yeah, they're massive.
They have equal to my army.
Yeah.
That should not be. They're being played poorly.
Yeah.
But if they never get the chance to actually consolidate, if the AI does not know how to manage non-continuous borders.
Yeah.
And that's what they have.
Right.
So we'll see. They might be able to get strong enough. They might not. And unfortunately, we're kind of rolling the dice on that.
Right.
I need this coalition to die. It's not going to before I have to do the war against... I think I'm going to do the war against Milan, and then, depending on how I feel, that might be it for me for today.
Fair enough. I think one of my proudest moments was when I managed to embroil the entirety of mainland Europe in an early World War One, basically.
Yeah. I may or may not have the achievement in this game for a war with over 1 million casualties on either side.
Oh, I've done that, yeah. It's not. I've done that in CK3, that's pretty simple. That's pretty fun, too. So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I've had some good times. I've had some massive wars with, like... I think the biggest battle I had was, like, a 200,000 per side battle.
That's pretty big.
Just Eastern versus Western Europe.
The single largest battle I ever had was in a multiplayer game, which sort of makes sense.
Yeah.
And it was 600,000 of my men against roughly the same, if not slightly more, of the other players. Did I just screw over my own income? No, I didn't. It's okay. And it was huge. It was massive. There were like a couple 100,000 losses on either end.
Right,
it was so much fun. So much fun. Okay, when is this truce up? The truce is up in June of 28. And it's currently 26. So, okay, that's fine. We'll take Genoa, we'll take Milan. Be another 50-some development. God, I hate that event. Let's just dump massive amounts of money into an event. Seems good. Alright, so we'll do that. I think the thing is, if I can get to 2/3 of the Ottoman development, I can take them on my own.
Right.
Won't even need the AI.
Nice.
It's just a matter of if I can get there.
Yeah.
So... I don't know. Serbia's an interesting one. Usually, they are limited in how fast they can go, because Italy, it's so easy to get into this situation where you have just a massive coalition, which, you know, like, what choice do I have for this, right? I had countries that I couldn't attack anyway because they're allied to France, or I could get into a coalition and not really be able to attack them.
Right,
So what's the difference? Other than that I'm expanding the development base. So it seemed like that was the good choice.
Right.
I don't know. Damned if you do, damned if you don't at a certain point for that, but...
Right, right.
I mean, those sorts of trade-offs you have in CK3 as well.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Hmm. Okay, 124,000. That's just so much. And this is actually pretty bad. So the Ottomans went quality, innovative, influence ideas. Quality will make them much harder to fight.
Right, right, right.
I went quality as well. I'm thinking I should probably pick up quantity ideas the next time and just, yeah. Because what you're relying on as a smaller country is you take quality, and then every fight you take you win. And even if you're outnumbered, the fact that you're able to win those fights sequentially means that you grind down the larger country through never losing a fight.
Right.
But if their men are just as good as yours,
Yeah, you
it gets a little complicated. Right. So it's a wee bit tricky at that point.
Right.
But I want to finish this idea set. +5 discipline would be very nice. Let's do that. It's going to cost me an arm and a leg in admin points to get this stuff. Okay, did they just declare war on Muscovy? Yeah. Yeah, and the next thing that's going to happen is the Ottomans are going to just like work their way northeast. It's going to look really stupid. They're going to take the steppe provinces. Muscovy's screwed. Which really sucks too, because they were having a decent game before this. Like, they've taken part of Finland, they've taken the Livonian Order.
Right, right, right.
That's actually not terrible. But there's no way they can fight the Ottomans on their own.
Yeah.
Oh geez, look at that pickup. It's a lot of land. Which the Ottomans attacked at the exact worst time, because now Muscovy is fighting overextension, which causes rebels.
Yeah.
And they're outnumbered. Okay, hold on, let's go
Right,
down
right.
to 3. Okay. June. There it is. Truce is up. And declaring war before they can join the coalition. Let's do it for level 2, for level 3, Genoa. There. Good. I think they're just allied to Ansbach now. No, Constance. Doesn't matter at all. Let's trade favors for trust. There we go. And call to arms. Good. Not strictly necessary, but the AI, if you pull the AI into a war, oftentimes that'll actually force them to... So Austria is maintaining well under their force limit because they don't really have a need to maintain their force limit. But if you drag them into a war, even a rinky-dink one where they're not going to fight that much,
Really, yeah, right.
they'll build their armies up.
Right, which drains resources and whatnot.
It does, but that's actually not why I'm doing it right now. I want the Austrians to look scary, to discourage the coalition that I'm in. And because if they maintain it, then it'll be... The worst thing you can possibly do in this game is mobilize your army right when a war starts. Because your manpower pool is built up over time. I get a monthly number of men, 429. And currently, that's fighting attrition. So attrition, I take 470 casualties every month. I only replenish 429 into my manpower pool. So my manpower pool is slightly draining over time.
Right.
Kind of makes sense. If I didn't have one of my 22,000 man armies mobilized, like, it just didn't exist, I wouldn't be paying for it. That's true. But in order to buy it upon being attacked, I'd drain my manpower pool by 2/3.
Yeah.
So, does not seem good. So basically, if you call Austria, and they already have 0 manpower reserves because of the war with Poland, but if they had 50,000 men and 50,000 manpower in their pool, and all of a sudden the Austrians declare war, well, they're going to flip their army up to 100,000 men, and it's going to lose them the war because they can't replenish those losses. They'll lose their frontline troops. Losing the frontline troops means the cannons die. They'll kill themselves, basically.
Right.
Players wouldn't. AI does.
Yes.
It's, yeah, opposite of nice. It's
For them, yeah.
well, except when they're my ally and I need them to be strong.
Very true. Very true.
I need to start working on this mission tree. Okay. Ooh. The Catholics are rising up in Rome. 21,000 religious regiments in Rome.
Fun.
Yeah, you can wait on events for like 3 or 4 months. I'm using it to reposition.
Force trigger, yeah.
Yeah. Oh shit. I was doing that because I had a really good general, but my really good general just got dead.
Out.
There it is. That should be fine. Yeah, that's fine. And we took the siege of Genoa, 97%, and if we take this, we risk a coalition. Ferrara, Siena, Venice, Genoa, Savoy, Aragon, Switzerland, Bregenz, who are all already in a coalition against us, so I don't care.
Nope.
There it is, that's the war. That's the cores. And with that, I think I'm going to call it a night. So,
Fair enough.
for the like 3 or 4 people who hopped in watching live on YouTube, very grateful. And thanks for hanging out with me, man. I had a good time.
Big ups.